What higher standard could one have than God? And if I am God, then what higher standard do I have than me? Thus, ethical standards become relative to the individual. I need not look outside myself. I need only to look within.
Cosmic humanist approach to ethics is relativistic. Of course, this stems again from their pantheism. If you're God, then you get to decide for yourself what is right and wrong. And so many New Agers will not only say that they can create their own reality, they believe they can create their own morality. And in doing so, they get to decide what's right and wrong for themselves.
This relativism means that no one can judge if another's actions are good or evil. Morality is simply relative. This belief has led many New Agers to conclude that there is no real difference between good and evil. Writes Deepak Chopra, what is the nature of good and evil? God is the union of all opposites. Evil no longer exists. Shirley MacLaine claims that belief in good and evil leads to war. Until mankind realizes there is, in truth, no good and there is, in truth, no evil, there will be no peace.
The duality of good and evil is but an illusion. So the whole idea is to transcend this low level of illusion into this higher level of consciousness to recognize that there is no duality. And they would call it a higher ethic or whatever, but it dispenses with, in fact, the opposites of evil and good.
The best-selling New Age author, Neale Donald Walsch, agrees in Conversations with God. He writes, I have said over and over again that there is no right or wrong in the universe. A thing simply is. Hitler did nothing wrong. Hitler simply did what he did.
So ultimately, we're either accountable to impersonal laws within the universe, such as the law of karma and so forth, or we're accountable to ourselves. And ultimately, self becomes the creator because, for one thing, we are all that is, ultimately, our true identity. But also, the belief is that in our incarnations, in our own personal lives, whatever we experience was our own creation. You know, either through the law of cause and effect of karma, that you get back what you put out, or even in a more direct sense, a lot of New Agers today believe that in between incarnations, as we reincarnate, you actually map out what you're going to experience in order to learn lessons. And so you create your own reality in all of those ways. And then add to that the fact that your own positive mental attitude or negative mental attitude, since mind is the ultimate reality, whatever you believe is going to happen is what's going to happen. And so you create whatever happens to you.
New Agers reject God's law, as well as the guilt that comes from violating these laws. New Age guru Louise Hay says traditional religion is guilt-ridden and was created simply to control people. There may have been a time when humans needed such religion, but we have evolved beyond that now. New Agers also reject the idea that God will judge us for our sins. They deny the existence of sin and reject the idea of a real hell. Neale Donald Walsch writes, Hitler went to heaven for these reasons. There is no hell, so there is no place else for him to go. His actions were what you would call mistakes, the actions of an unevolved being. And mistakes are not punishable by condemnation, but dealt with by providing the chance for correction, for evolution. The mistakes Hitler made did no harm or damage to those whose deaths he caused. Those souls were released from their earthly bondage, like butterflies emerging from a cocoon.
The Cosmic Humanist ethical system calls for people to follow their own inner truth without judging another's actions, beliefs, or truth. You may judge yourself, but you must not judge others.